A shell is an interface to the kernel. What is the kernel? Well, the kernel interfaces with or interacts with processors, memories, disk devices, basically anything hardware related. While the software, the user, interfaces with the kernel. How does the user interface with the kernel? Well, through a shell called Bash. Bash is one of the most common shells that you will encounter inside any Linux environment. There is Z shell and just the Bourne shell known as SH. Don't worry about any other shell. We are going to use Bash inside this course. Let's visually represent a shell by using a restaurant analogy. So, in order to analogize what the shell is, I like to think of it as a restaurant. So, inside a restaurant, we have, people that walk into the restaurant. So, you have your patrons, and we'll call them users, much like how somebody who uses a computer is called a user. And so, this user is sitting at a table at a restaurant, and inside restaurants, we have a head chef. So this is his chef hat. And let's just write that right there. And let's separate. And in a restaurant, we usually have a separation from the public. The public doesn't see what goes on inside here. However, what the public does see is the waiter. So we have this guy who is, and we'll call this waiter the CLI, or better known as the shell. And that's the head chef. And the head chef is the kernel. And inside the kitchen, right here, so let's just say kitchen, we have equipment, appliances like stoves, um, grills, etc. So, and that is the hardware, the stuff that makes the food. And so, hardware includes, CPUs, memory, storage, NICs, motherboard, etc. So the user issues essentially like a command to the waiter, and the waiter goes to the kitchen or goes to the window and issues the commands of the users to the head chef right here. And the head chef communicates to his little other chefs to make the food or to process the commands from the user. So when I say that the shell is like almost like an abstraction of the kernel, it sort of is. But think of it as an interface for the kernel. So hopefully with this analogy that we would have a better understanding of the shell to kind of demystify this complex thing called the kernel. Because when people hear kernel, it's kind of like we don't know what it is half the time. But hopefully this makes more sense and this analogy um, gives you a greater understanding. To quote Asghar Gori from the RHCSA Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10 Training Exam Preparation Guide book, the fourth edition, the bash shell is a shell that functions as a command interpreter, serving as the interface between users in the Linux kernel. It accepts instructions or commands from users or programs, interprets them, and passes them to the kernel for execution. The kernel utilizes hardware and software resources to process these instructions, then returns the results to the shell for display. The shell also displays any error messages generated during command execution. In addition, the shell provides a customizable environment to users. Hello, I just want to say thank you for watching my content, and those are going to be more videos coming in the future. So please like and subscribe, and keep tuned for more educational Linux and tech videos. Thank you.